name is Christian Macaron. I'm the editor of Trends Magazine, and we are a member of the Emerging Media Alliance.
Michael Garfield, Santa Fe Institute.
I'm Jack Spangler from Boston.
Hi, my name is Noel Lopez, otherwise known as B-Boy Pyrotech. I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm a B-Boy. I've been training for 24 years. I travel around the country competing, teaching classes, and I've represented the United States 3 times.
I think what's exciting about Emerging Media Alliance in Santa Fe is that we are a collection of some of the most amazing community groups, organizations, businesses, educational facilities in the city. And we are all doing collaborations on art and science, and it's all connected to media.
The new media that we have now are tools that empower individuals in an unprecedented way. If you look at like Make Santa Fe, 3D printers, laser cutters, virtual reality, big data, the ability to derive insights. This isn't just about making physical things. This is about learning to reorganize information about our environments in a new way that generates powerful and novel insights. And so, promoting that, I think, is crucial insofar as we live in this turbulent and metamorphic century, and we need new strategies for carrying forward the best of what it means to be human into these insane new spaces.
We're deeply engaged with research using virtual reality, but we're doing it to test people's response to nature, to biophilic elements that we put into indoor environments. So they put on their headsets, they see routine spaces, and then we can flip the scene. And they can be in with plants, with views to nature, with analogs to nature like wooden structures, wooden floors, floral paintings, things like that, to see how they respond physiologically and cognitively, and how it changes creativity. And we're finding really strong influences of biophilia, the love of nature, in the indoor environments.
We have an incredible community of artists and scientists that are cohabitating, and we're all in the same spaces and doing like the same thing, exploring the same map essentially. And so it's all here. It's just a matter of networking between our organizations, but also extending that into the community. And that's, I think, our biggest challenge, but also one of the most important things.
And understanding how we can actually go from the other side of town, Airport Road, where there's kids that don't have anything, don't even have the money to make it to this side of town so they can experience this. Being able just to get them to a platform so they can see like companies before they're starting up, a startup company so they can invest into, being able to see them in real time so they can actually invest when the time is right, being able to get into platforms that actually open up their opportunities and know what's actually coming into the industry, what's actually trending, what they can invest to, what the smartest decisions are, how they can actually map out what their resources are, what part of the country they live in, what's the biggest export, what are they lacking, you know what I'm saying, like things like that, so they understand what they can actually get in the mix of to be able to accomplish things to succeed.
I think a primary concern here is the concern of access and the empowerment of people, rather than creating this growing class divide between the technological haves and have-nots. Every technology has a set of affordances. It has a sort of flavor or a tilt to it. Doug Rushkoff says, guns don't kill people, but you are more likely to kill someone with a gun than you are with a pillow, which obviously a pillow can be used as a weapon. So the question is, in what ways are we embracing as a community new technologies that we have considered as meaningful and helpful, rather than just without any kind of reflection or critical discourse, just chasing after the next hottest toy, So I think again, places like Make Santa Fe and Meow Wolf that take time to teach people how to use these tools, that give people a place to go where they can interact with these technologies and discover new modes of creativity are really important, because the fact is that we're not going to just put a VR headset on every person It's going to be decades probably, if ever, that everyone in the community has access to some kind of 3D printer at home. And so, having areas that people can go, like libraries, back when books were expensive, and a city may only have one copy of a book, then we have these repositories that are available to the public, that welcome people in, and that take a step towards commoning, a restoration of the intellectual and cultural commons of the community. And that's extremely important in this whole thing, that we find ways to put these tools into people's hands and train them to use those tools.
I think the main key is for us to approach these young kids and these young bucks all over, these young people that don't have resources, and be like, look, you can be a CEO. You don't have to work for a corporation. You can start your own. You can hire your friends. You guys can all make something happen for yourselves. It's possible, I didn't know that I could be a CEO until, my mom was like, you can do this. You can accomplish this. You're going to be a CEO. You're going to be a boss. Oh, yeah. And I started training myself to be able to train other people, to be able to hire other people, to be able to have the composure to talk to people and not freak out in the mix of accomplishing.
So I think all these technologies, wearables, sensors, miniaturization, has one great purpose. It democratizes information, right? It allows people at very low expenses to measure things themselves, not only on themselves, water pollution, air pollution, not rely on government telling you what the levels are. So that's emerging technology. Then what some of my clever students have done, they've taken those sensors that are all around the city. You hold up an iPad, just like you've done with augmented reality, and now you see the pollution levels. So you're looking at a city, but you see the invisible. So this has tremendous advantage to get citizens involved with things that are meaningful to their own health and their own lives. And then by extension, I told you about that company Zoom that puts virtual reality gaming together with exercise bikes to get kids or anybody to fight the obesity epidemic, the diabetes epidemic, because they're too sedentary. So I think this is where emerging technologies meets public health. And I think we're right at the frontiers of that. We haven't even begun to explore.
I think it's really important that Santa Fe remember that it lives in the 21st century, at the same time that it also remembers that the 21st century is not defined by Silicon Valley. We have a really rich multicultural heritage here. We have a lot of brilliant artisans. We have a record of, this legacy of the mastery of craft and of making things that ultimately is about, individual human creativity and its ability to capture the stories of culture and of personal history. And I think it would be a tragedy if we chased after novelty in this sort of content-free way without thinking about what it is that we hope that these new creative instruments, these powerful new technologies can empower at the human level.
I have a friend that is in Washington State, University of Washington. He's taking vets that have PTSD, and he's taking them on walks in nature and walks in urban areas and measuring all these changes, cognitive physiology, mood changes, and he's going to have the virtual. That won't be virtual, that'll be real. And if that shows power of change and reducing anxiety, then we can say, well, can you do it with virtual? You clearly can do it with meditation, right? But people have a hard time sticking to a routine. But putting on headsets, taking them to their happy place or their calming place could calm them down, could reduce those anxiety, rumination thoughts that are going on in their head. Or if there's danger, you could put them in the wrong place, right? That is fearful, that can enhance us. So you've got to be careful doing this. So that's one application. The other application is end of life. People are bedridden, they're in hospice. Wouldn't it be nice to take them to a ball game? Wouldn't it be nice to take them back home, take them to a church, take them to their lake front where they can't go again? So that is a real possibility of emergent technologies.
Science fiction author William Gibson said that the future is already here, it's just distributed unevenly. And maybe it doesn't make sense to even talk about Santa Fe in this whole cloth way as being a place that we can compare to other communities. You know, there are too many different axes and dimensions to consider here. That said, I think that Santa Fe is in a really unique and excellent position to leverage some of these new creative tools, precisely because we have so many different cultural backgrounds here. So many different languages are spoken. So many different stories are carried in people alive today, and that provides a very fertile soil out of which new strategies for engagement with emergent technologies can grow. So it's not just about do we have the most sophisticated tech companies launching here? Well, no, we don't. But how many of those companies are just reinventing the wheel because they have no history to draw from? And I think that that's a very important consideration in all of this.
Take education, take climate change. You live in environments and you have no sense that it's really changing and changing rapidly, but through emergent technologies you can transport somebody by VR to the glaciers melting, to the frontiers of the northern slopes of Alaska, and talk to indigenous people that know it, personally know it. And I think that's the great advantage of allowing people to have personal experiences that otherwise wouldn't be possible.
The ability to enrich the ways that we navigate the layered history of this environment and contribute to it, and continue to explore and discover and remix what is here, rather than simply selling out everything that makes this place special to global technological interests.
Do you have any ideas for how to bring people from that side of the town here for an event like this that we're at today?
Have events over there.